Tony, you don't look like you've aged a minute since you first strapped in, and it was IndyCar and it was NASCAR and it was all kinds of cars since then. But nonetheless, one chapter is closing, and you're coming to the end of a run. I know you've said that you think you're going to be maybe a little more emotional than you thought, maybe than you'd like to be. But how will it all be for you when the season ends?
I mean, it's definitely going to be a sad day. And there's no way. I mean, the only thing that's going to keep me from being at Phoenix on Sunday is if my wife goes into labor and we have this child. That would literally be the only thing that stopped me from going to the race.
Yeah.
16 years of my life and the work that's went into it, the sweat that's went into it, the struggles, the things that you never would have thought about being a team owner that you had to deal with, dealing with a pandemic. How do we take care of our employees during a pandemic, take care of them, take care of their families? But most of all, the relationships in 16 years that I've built with these people and to know, I mean, I literally went to the shop. I went to the Talladega race. I had raced literally the day before that whole weekend in St. Louis with the top alcohol dragster. And was like, I'm getting on the plane tomorrow. I'm going to Talladega. I'm going to go to Charlotte. And literally after we left Talladega, went to Charlotte, I spent the whole next day at SHR. It was my last day at SHR at the building. And, I stayed probably an hour after employees were gone and just walked around and looked around and remembered back to what it was like the first day I walked in that building. And then thinking about 16 years later and looking at it and looking what we built and what we were able, and looking at the banners hanging from the ceiling, which were pole position qualifying and race wins and the 2 championship banners, and thinking about what all we did as an organization to take a group that were 34th and 36th in the points with the 2 cars they had and coming in there and turning that building around and employing more people, going from a 2-car team eventually to a 4-car team, and winning 2 championships and 70 races, and thinking about I mean, you can look at the list of teams that have been in the Cup Series less than 16 years. They accomplished a lot less in their time. And there's teams that have been in the sport long after 16 years that haven't accomplished what we've accomplished in the sport. So I'm really proud of what we've done. But yeah, Phoenix, it was hard to leave the shop. It's going to be hard to be there at Phoenix and know that, honestly, when I left the shop, I sat there and thought there's some of these guys that are friends of mine that I may never physically see again. But
Yeah.
we'll obviously stay in touch, but those relationships are what matter now. And, we worked really hard when we made the announcement that we were going to have to shut the team down at the end of the year for multiple reasons. But the biggest thing that we sat down as a group before we did that was try to come up with a creative package to take care of our employees. Part of the announcement going as early as it did was to give these guys time to work through the rest of the year, but at the same time, try to secure jobs for the next season. So when you sit there and get on social media and you read these idiots that don't know what they're talking about, they just don't like me. So there's anything that they can latch onto to talk crap about us, that's what they do. And that's fine. It's the people that don't have a life and don't know what they're talking about, so they really don't matter. But we worked really, really hard to make sure that we took care of our people because we have those relationships with those people. They're people we care about. We know them. We know their spouses. Some of them, we know their children really well. And so that was a really important factor for us, knowing that we were going to have to shut it down, but how do we take care of our people in the meantime and make sure we do the best for them? So leaving the shop was hard, and I guarantee when the race is over and those rigs are loaded finally, I mean, I'm not leaving till those guys are all ready to leave the racetrack, till the last SHR employee is left.